Today's epic female entrepreneur is Deidre Sirianni, founder of Radically Aligned. Deidre is a coach, a TEDx speaker, activator for truth and human awakening. She specializes in impact entrepreneurship, personal development, spirituality, and leadership development. Deidre also certifies coaches in ancient wisdom technology and supports her clients with achieving accelerated results in their personal and business lives. She has been an entrepreneur for well over 10 years and has helped many achieve their dreams. Her curiosity and own personal health challenges led her to studying with the shamans, where she learned how the soul communicates through symptoms of disease and how the body can heal itself when the message is integrated. Incorporating this knowledge into her teachings while working with dissolving barriers, Deidre helps clients align with their purpose and truth to create the foundation for the next level of success, joy, and life fulfillment. Her mission is to awaken as many people as possible to the truth of who they are and who they are meant to be. Welcome, Deidre.
Thank you so much for having me. Wow. Jane, you put on such a professional space that I'm thoroughly impressed, and I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much. I am thoroughly excited to have you here, and thank you so much for sharing what you're about to share with our audience, because this is so important. So I wanted to start with your entrepreneurial journey. Share with our audience how you got to be an entrepreneur.
Well, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. So my parents owned multiple businesses, and it was just kind of like a way of being. It's like you are in control of your own reality. You can do whatever you want. And I went to school for broadcast journalism. And after that, I was just like, you know what? I don't really want to be a news anchor. This doesn't feel inspiring to me. And I kind of stumbled into the space of being a yoga teacher. I moved to a new city. I wasn't really finding any gigs in broadcast journalism that really felt aligned with my soul. And so I moved to Vancouver, Canada, which is like the hub for yoga. And I started teaching yoga, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. And I literally did not know what I was doing. I got my first corporate client because I did corporate yoga and wellness and culture development at the beginning. And I got it from a cold call. And I've had this client up until the pandemic hit. So I had this client for years and years and years from a cold call. And I continued to bring on these corporate clients that a lot of people were like, how did you get them? And I was like, I literally just called. I just did the thing. But I want to be honest with you. I had no idea what I was doing probably for the first 6 years of being an entrepreneur. A lot of struggle, a lot of doing things the hard way, a lot of feeling like a chicken with my head cut off. But eventually I started to surrender and really look for mentors and support to support me in building a company that I love. And eventually I end up stepping away from that business and stepping into my coaching business. So it's really been a thing. And I don't know how you are, Jane, but I'm the kind of person that I jump in and then I figure out how to swim. And that's just a part of my personality. It's something I love about myself. And it's also something that I don't always love about myself, because I'm like, man, sometimes I do things the hard way. But I learn best when I jump into an experience and immerse myself into it. And that's how my entrepreneurial journey's been. And I've made a lot of mistakes, and I figured out a few things. So it's been really fun.
Well, it's interesting, Deidre, because I'm the same way. I like to jump in and then learn how to swim, and that's sort of been my way of taking the leap, and learning to fly while you're in the process. But a lot of times that serves us in the sense that what happens is that we overcome the fear by not analyzing things too much, because I think that's where the analysis paralysis kicks in. Sometimes we can overdo it the other way. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I'm so glad that you have found your stroke and you're coming to us and full-fledged entrepreneur. And what I wanted to share with our audience right now, because you have a very powerful message, and your TED Talk sort of it surrounds the speak that, or excuse me, the topic that you covered in a metaphor, a format where you used weeds in a garden to express some life transition that you went through in your life. Maybe share that with our audience so we can get a little insight into the work that you're doing today.
Absolutely. And I just love those. I love your questions. They're really powerful, and I can tell you've really thought them out. And thank you for watching my TEDx. That means a lot to me. And, I did that TEDx because for so long in my life, I had all these weeds growing. I had all of these things coming up in my life where I felt like I wasn't fully in control. And maybe you're watching right now and there's areas of your life where you're like, why do I keep manifesting the same challenge? Why does this keep happening to me? And this is what happened in my mid-20s. I had a big wake-up call. I manifested many different types of disease. And I know that if I didn't honor my soul's calling and really do the inner work to clear the weeds out of my life, that I don't think I would be here today. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that later, of like disease and how it speaks to you and all of that. But the truth is, when we have unhealed trauma, what happens within us is these weeds start to grow in our life, and it can show up as addiction, it can show up as avoidance, it can show up as attracting abusive relationships, being in habits and behaviors and thought patterns, and continuing to recreate situations in our life and not being aware of how it's happening, and then being in the space of victim. And we've all been there at some point. And a lot of these behaviors that we're not able to shift in our life, and Mastin Kipp talks about this as well, is that it comes down to unhealed trauma. Once you've gone to the seminars, you've read the books, you've done the mindset work, and you're still not getting the results that you want somewhere in your life, and you're doing all the things, it's because of unhealed trauma. Because what happens with trauma, it's like a moment in time that becomes frozen. And so it's an undesired experience where it becomes frozen in time, and it ends up in our subconscious mind. There's an image, a thought, a body sensation, emotion, and energetic that gets stored in us, and we haven't been able to process it. So naturally what happens is we're going about our day, maybe starting a business or going into a new relationship or whatever the thing is, wanting to take better care of our health, and we're self-sabotaging. We're playing small, we're getting triggered, and we're not showing up for the things that we want most, and we're in these patterns. It's because our subconscious mind is being triggered by things that are similar to the image, the thought, the body sensation, the emotion, and the energetics of the traumas that we haven't completed. So it's like mowing the lawn every week and having weeds come up. And if you were to look at my lawn right now, you would laugh because it's basically all weeds. I recently bought an older home where the yard has not been maintained. So, me, I'm not a big gardener or anything like that. I'm like, okay, I got to repair the lawn, but there's so many weeds. So you can mow over the weeds in your life with a lawnmower, mindset work, or whatever it is. But until you actually go to the root and pull it out, the weeds are going to continue to grow. And this is what I hear from clients who have gone to therapy, which I love, by the way. I'm not dissing any of these. They all have their place and time, but they've done a lot of the work. They've done the mindset work, but still the symptoms are still coming up. And if they're not always doing the practices, it throws their life off. And so it's because the roots haven't been pulled out with healing trauma. And that's a big part of the work that I do. And on my journey, I am so grateful that I was able to pull the weeds out of my life and really dive into this area of becoming more of an expert. And it's difficult to say I'm an expert. I've had a lot of life experience and I sort of support a lot of people, but I'm always learning. There's so much more to learn. But I realized that when I actually healed the trauma, when I actually pulled the weeds out in my life in specific moments in time, I realized all the micro traumas that I caused myself, all the moments I betrayed myself, didn't listen to myself, said yes when I wanted to say no, because my body was saying I didn't feel safe. And so this is happening every day with entrepreneurs, with humans, and we don't even know what's going on. It can be extremely frustrating and painful.
Yes, I could certainly see that. And I love that metaphor about getting to the root of the issue, because you're right. A lot of us will just mow over the surface, but that's not getting to the root of what's really there that needs to be dealt with or pulled out or whatever the case might be. And it's really becoming aware, because that once the awareness, or at least the thought of being aware of what is happening, can at least tell us in our bodies that, okay, we need to pay attention. And actually that segues perfect into our next question, because the question is of soul communication. Now, I thought this was so insightful. I love the way you've worded it, soul communication, because it really says something that's trying to speak to us. And as entrepreneurs, we always almost overdo it in one way or another. We might forget self-care. We might not eat properly. We might just work ourselves to the bone. Whatever the case might be, but we need to pay attention. So explain to our audience the importance of soul communication and what it is and why we need to pay attention.
Absolutely. And so I was speaking a little bit about my journey before, I had all of these manifestations of disease. I had 4 different types of autoimmune disease. I was told by the doctor that I would probably lose all of my hair because I developed alopecia. I had depression to the point of wanting to end my life. I had extreme social anxiety. I had chronic pain in my neck and knees. I was allergic to most foods, and this is in my early to mid 20s. I want to be really clear. Like, I was young. I was technically in perfect health. From the outside looking in, it looked like I had the perfect life. I was married. I had a beautiful home, successful business. I was on television. I had all of these things right in front of me. And from the outside looking in, everyone thought I had the perfect life. People would come to me for advice. And so the reason I'm sharing that is because we can get so caught up in our identity, our personality, that we don't listen to our body, which can also come from unhealed trauma. There's different layers to this. And so my body was speaking to me, and what did I do? I'm like, oh, I'm going to stop eating those foods. Oh, I'm going to shove it down. Or, oh, I'm not going to put myself in those environments. Or, I guess this is just the way my neck is or the way my body is. And I was accepting something less than what I truly wanted in my life and with my health. And in life, we can do that. We can say, oh, this runs in my family, or you know what, this is just the way things are, when really dis-ease is a sign that your soul is trying to give you a message. And so there's something that I do with my clients, depending on what they come to me for and what specific things are arising, but it's called body mapping, and it's about understanding how your body, your soul communicates to you through specific symptoms. And so when I was able to actually receive the message of the soul, which there were quite a few hard truths that wanted to come through, I was able to heal all of that within a few months. Within a few months, I was able to heal my depression, my anxiety, my stomach pain, my allergies, what else? My autoimmune diseases. Like, all of them were completely healed. And this has happened with people who have taken some of my programs because they've been able to release emotions and have a deeper connection to their intuition, where all of a sudden this woman was in one of my programs and she had 10 out of 10 pain in her back for over a decade. After the program, it was almost completely gone. And that is what's possible when we catch whatever it is in time. And of course, it's not always just energetic. It's not always the soul. Like, there's the physical body too. There's more than just the energetics of it. But from studying with shamans for over a decade, that's what I learned. And it's really powerful medicine. So if you're watching right now and you're experiencing symptoms of disease in the body, I really want to invite you to ask yourself the question, what is the symptom trying to tell me? What is the goal for me? And sometimes it might be a goal that seems really dark and scary, but if you can just accept that goal and receive it and say, what's the next goal? That is where you're really going to understand the purpose of what your soul is trying to tell you.
Right. I love that. So important in today's life, especially today, because we're dealing with so many things that are uncertain. So be aware and listen to your body. And like you said, it's not always just the soul or the body, but there's things that if we pay attention, they're there and they're trying to say, pay attention.
Yes.
There's something happening here. Absolutely. Well, you mentioned very briefly energetic signature. So, what do you mean by the energetic signature, and how can that serve us in life and in business?
Yeah, and so the beautiful thing is, like, if you look at the logo of Radically Aligned, which I'm sure you can see below, there's this beautiful flower in the center. This is your unique coding that you were born with. This is your unique energetic signature. No one is you. No one can be you. You can't be anyone else. And so when we're able to truly heal ourselves and accept ourselves on a very deep level and show up as that, we're able to broadcast our energetic signature to everything around us, and we're able to create this really powerful vortex of bringing all of the right people to us. I actually did a whole year of work with someone specifically on expanding my energetic field so that I have the capacity to serve more people when I'm online, when I'm on stages, and when I'm doing the work. And it's really about a deep level of self-acceptance, and also some of it's a little bit of voice training and understanding that a lot of the patternings in our body, the way that we show up and the way we're feeling restricted or funky in the body, really has to do with areas where we've numbed out, where we've shut down, where we've stopped listening. So our energetic signature is who we are, and when it's fully activated and online, we're able to be seen in a bigger way, and that's where everything can open up for us.
Yes. And likewise, if our energetic signature is in the negative realm, we will attract all that negativity. So it's really interesting how, and I totally understand what you're saying, and I completely agree with you. Our energies are what communicates to the universe. Whether you believe in that or not, just think of a day where you woke up and you had a disagreement with your significant other, and your day was set off, and your energy is angry and bitter, and all of a sudden within a 12-mile radius you get all these people, things happening to you that are in the same energetic field, and you're like, what the heck is going on? And the opposite can be true as well. You get up, you're joyful, you're happy, you're having a great day. I always say, you're contagious one way or the other. Our energetic fields are contagious. So it really does make a difference. And when we're in that positive, I love that you say that you worked for a whole year on your energetic field, because when you're in that state, we can attract so much abundance. It's really amazing. So thank you for sharing that, because that is a message that I think all entrepreneurs and in your personal and your business life need to understand. So I know that you have some tips for us. This is about reaching your highest potential, because as entrepreneurs, we're all striving to reach our highest potential. And when we talked earlier, you mentioned 3 tips that could help us get there. Tell us what those are.
Absolutely. And just to add to what you recently said around the energy and the positivity, this is like brushing your teeth every day. It's like personal hygiene for your energetic field, and it's so important to keep up. I recently was feeling like this energy within me, and I was like, what's going on? And I had this judgment come up, because this is what I do for a living and this is what I help people with. And I'm like, oh, right. Got to get back into some of those rituals. So it's about the practice and the knowing that it's okay to ebb and flow, but it's like brushing your teeth every day. The more you do it, the more you need to do it, and the more you want to do it, because it's part of your ritual. So going into your next question around the 3 things to really align yourself and become the most successful, the most abundant, the most fulfilled version of you, what I found from working with people and within myself, and this is infused into my signature program, it's 3 steps. And if you apply these 3 steps to your life, to your business, you are going to give yourself and everyone that you come in contact to a massive gift, because the world needs more of this. Step number 1 is radical honesty. The truth is, so many people today, and I've caught myself doing this quite a bit in the past, and I live this now, but it's been a practice, because practice over time, it turns into an embodiment, and it's like, oh, this is just how I am now. And I lived a lie for, many years in my life. So now truth is one of my top values. So being radically honest with yourself. When you're radically honest with yourself, that is where empowerment, that is where change can happen. However, when you sugarcoat, when you sweep things under the rug, when you pretend things are better than they are, you don't give yourself the opportunity to really bring in and attract the support that you need, the kind of relationship that you want, or the change that you really need to step into and realize. The second piece is courage. When you're in a space of radical honesty with yourself, you're going to need to have courage. Courage to have the difficult conversations, courage to walk away from relationships that are potentially holding you down. Unfortunately, I don't like mentioning, certain dynamics in relationships, but it's the truth. We are relationship beings, and sometimes we have to have boundaries and do the hard things so that you can be a being of light, so that you can make a bigger impact, so that you can help more people in the world, and really within yourself, heal yourself, support yourself to be the person that you know that you're here to be. And then the third step is taking action, taking massive inspired action and showing up. Because the truth is, as Jane was saying earlier, you were talking about, we need to have this awareness, and awareness is great. And I get a lot of people getting stuck in awareness because they don't have the courage, and they don't want to be radically honest with themselves, so they kind of avoid it. And that can be a coping mechanism to feel safe. But if you're radically honest, you have the courage, and then you show up and you do something, that is the pathway to freedom. That is the pathway for everything that you want in your life, which includes more abundance, higher quality clients, everything. Because not a lot of people, unfortunately, have trained and are implementing radical honesty, courage, and showing up. So those are the 3 steps.
I love it. We talked about that before in our conversation, and I said you have to share that with the audience, because I love that it's the 3 steps, and it's something that we can begin doing now. We could start with ourselves, and of course, obviously you can connect with Deidre, but I love that it's something that you can implement in your daily process, and helping you move forward in your life and your business today. So the next question I have for you, Deidre, is because you've been in business for well over 10 years, and I would love to know, and I'm sure our audience would love to know, what marketing tools have best served you in attracting new clients and prospects?
Absolutely. So marketing tools, I don't use a ton of marketing tools, if I'm being radically honest with you. But what I do find as far as like resources that I love is, I think it's really important as an entrepreneur with whatever you are speaking into the world to learn how to become a really good speaker. Number 1, to get confident on camera, to have those skills, and then find resources and places where you can get in front of other people's audiences and add value, just like I'm doing right now. Last week I was on 5 different summits, and I love just being able to share and connect and really connect with different people's communities who are doing incredible work in the world, like you, Jane. So I would say speaking, getting in front of people's audiences, social media is great. Clubhouse is amazing. If you're not on Clubhouse, I think I have like 6 or so invites. So anyone that ends up reaching out to me, I will invite you. I will invite you to the space. And then also, one thing that's really powerful that I don't think enough people are doing or leveraging is a podcast. Before I started this business, I had a podcast for a couple of years, and what it allowed me to do is interview people that I really looked up to, that I really loved, that I really wanted to be more like and, play with. And what it did is opened up all these opportunities for me to collaborate with them. And since then, I've been on some of their stages, they've been on some of my stages. And another resource or piece for marketing. So I mentioned speaking opportunities, creating a podcast. And then also, I think the third piece that not enough people talk about is joint ventures. And so joint ventures are where you collaborate with people who have a similar audience to you, and you help them potentially market their product, or you have them on your stage and you do some sort of JV split. And that's very profitable for business, but it's also an incredible way to market yourself and really gain some traction and expand your audience, expand your income and influence.
Yes, absolutely. Spot on. Not only does it give you more exposure, it gives you more practice. You're taking action, and you're sharing and collaborating with others. All of those, because as a podcaster, you want to reach out to those who could be on your show. As a joint venture, you're collaborating with others and bringing in your audience and their audience. And of course, getting on other people's platforms. Those are gems. I love those. And they're easy to implement. You know, we can always find space for everybody. There's an abundance of people looking for speakers, and there's abundance of availability to invite speakers to come on, because everyone is looking for that. And we all share our knowledge, which is what this platform is about. And I love it. Thank you. That was perfect.
Mhm.
So the number one entrepreneurial barrier, what do you find in your experience dealing with entrepreneurs, as I'm sure you have, is something that you feel is one of those top barriers that entrepreneurs deal with or put in front of themselves so that they don't move forward, so that they're stuck in that space of fear or not moving outside of their comfort zone?
Yeah, so I love this question, and it's funny because I was actually in conversation with my partner the other day about this, because this was coming up for me. And I'm sharing this with you because as entrepreneurs, as a human, we are always going to bump up against things. And the difference between those who continue to move forward and catch themselves and continue to grow and expand and influence and all of those things, and those who don't, are two things: awareness, and then also if you have the right support in action so that you can overcome your challenges. So I'm going to share two things, if that's okay, Jane. So the first piece is paying too much attention to what other people are doing. So recently, I was noticing myself paying too much attention about what other people are doing in my space. And I mentor coaches, I mentor entrepreneurs, and I've been doing this for years now. And I love my business, and I'm in a great space. But I just found myself noticing what people were doing on social media. And right away, when you're paying too much attention with what other people are doing, it takes you away from yourself. It takes you away from your vision, and then you can get lost in a space of in between. So comparison is huge. So don't pay attention to what's going on around you and what your peers are doing. Pay attention to where you're going, your future self, and the people who are the top at what they do. Because if you're too focused on what's going on around you, you're going to stay stuck rather than moving forward. And so look at where you're going, focus on that, work with the people who are already where you want to go, and then quiet the noise, the noise, not the nose, quiet the nose.
Those
But
two.
really, like, and your nose too. But so it's really about quieting the noise in your life. And I found that coming up for me recently, and I was like, wow, like I haven't felt like this in years and years and years. And I was like, okay, why am I doing that? I'm like, I think I'm getting too caught up in the small details rather than the bigger vision, because I'm in an up leveling and a shift in my business right now. And so it happens when we move into our next level. And then the second thing that I want to share around this is, having the right tools and support. I always have mentors. I always have coaches. I'm always in rooms where I'm the dumbest person in the room, so that I'm learning from people who are better than me. I do have some peer groups, which are good. And I focus most of my time in groups where people are where I want to be. The third thing that I want to share, which is a separate thing that blocks most entrepreneurs from getting where they want to go, is they're not actually looking at what's in the way. They're looking at where they want to go, and they're getting in dreamland. This is where I'm going to be a year from now, but they're not actually asking themselves what actually could get in the way this year. Maybe it's mindset, maybe it's lack of skills, maybe it's lack of environment, maybe it's belief systems, maybe it's self-sabotaging behaviors. What are the things, like planning ahead, what could get in my way this year that could cause me to quit, play small, stop, or just not think this is for me and get into a funk? And if you can plan that in your business, if you can plan that as you move towards your goals, you aren't going to stop. You're not going to quit. You're going to feel supported and radically aligned, and no one is going to be able to stop you if you plan for it. Getting really fired up over here.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. Those barriers are so important, but also so real. I mean, I find myself comparing all the time. And it's like, you're right. put that on the back burner. Don't even go there, because what it does is it takes you out of alignment. And then you're double thinking, well, oh, maybe I should be doing that. Maybe I should be doing this, and that's working for them. And it's like, before you know it, you're running around in circles, and you're not getting, you've completely lost focus. That is so important, the comparison issue, and also the others as well. I mean, they're really, I'm so glad I asked that question, because I can see a lot of people going, yes, yes, that's me, that's me. So once again, it's the awareness, bringing that to the surface and going, okay, why am I running around in circles lately? Or like you said, why am I feeling this way? All of a sudden, you said you've been in business for so many years and you're being successful. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, something's going on here. But that's the key right there, is you've got the awareness. So I love that. That was fantastic. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Deidre. That was great.
Can I add something to that? Because I think this would be really helpful. So one of the things I recently did, because I did find myself kind of paying too much attention to people who are, working towards the work that I'm doing or whatever was going on, just in the social media space. It's very noisy, and I don't actually spend a lot of time there, but I found myself noticing a few people who were like posting so many times a day. And then I started to go into should I be posting? Should I be doing this? And then I was putting my energy and time in things that actually weren't, supporting my business in the past, like the areas I was like, oh, I should be doing this, but, because other people are doing this. And so what I recently did was I went into my Instagram and I muted all of the people who I was like getting overwhelmed by. And it wasn't because they're not doing good work. It's just like, when I go on Instagram to share a post, or when I go on Instagram to, share knowledge, I don't want to feel bombarded with all of this energy of distraction. So it's about doing the little things to help you quiet the noise and being okay with that. Like, I was like, wow, like, I'm feeling anxious right now. What's causing it? Oh, I have a lot of people in my space who are doing a lot of stuff on social media, and it's causing me to get distracted. So I'm just going to mute them. I love them. I think they're amazing, but I'm noticing how it's impacting me. So how do I take responsibility for that? I shift something. And it's funny talking about it, but those small things matter.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Oh, that is so insightful. Take control. You are the captain of your ship. And like you said, it's a distraction. And just taking that small step, like you said, makes all the difference. But you had to dig a little bit to find out, why is this happening, and that you found the key. And oh my gosh, and that is so easy to do. And I know that there's many of us that have people online that we just don't service, or they're just putting things on our feed that really doesn't serve others. And that is such a great tip. Oh my gosh, yes, let's all do it. Let's all clean out our not clean them out completely, but just do somehow spring cleaning. Well, it's a little late for that, but we could call it that anyway. Oh my gosh, that would be a great tip. I love it. So simple and so vital. Oh my gosh, to our internet health. Let's say that, our social media health. Do some spring cleaning. I love it. I love it. So let's move on to,
I was just going to say, and a lot of these people are doing amazing work. It's just a distraction. So,
yes.
it's not it's like, yeah, absolutely.
I get it, because you want to be focused. So, and then who knows, later on you bring them back on. It doesn't matter, but it's what serves you. That's the key. So moving on to women's leadership and development, because I know that you do that as well. What is the number one skill that you teach women in leadership, and why?
Wow, this is a great question. The number one skill I teach women, and I think humans in general, is to trust yourself. And self-trust is about showing up for yourself. It's about knowing that your body has the answers, and that if you can just trust those nudges, if you can listen to your intuition and feel that in your body fully and take action on it, that is your power. It's the spaces where you hold back your intuition, hold back your truth, and where you're like, oh, you know what, I don't know if this is valuable, or, the outside world is telling me one thing, but I'm feeling this internally. It's about honoring yourself on a deep level. Because when you trust yourself, you make faster decisions, You're not in the in-between space which can cause you to lose confidence, lose self-trust, and not really show up powerfully for yourself. And then when you trust yourself and you show up for it, everything aligns for you because there are less mistakes and you can move forward at an accelerated rate. So self-trust, that's it. And because without self-trust, you are going to be in comparison mode. You're going to constantly be looking from the outside in for data, for who you should be, who other people think you should be, and then you're going to get into these spaces of not being your authentic self, and you may even create a life that never really felt like your own. That was the past version of me. I built up a whole life that never felt like my own. There's a lot of people doing that because they haven't learned to trust themselves. So do yourself a favor, do the work to learn how to trust yourself so that you can do it right rather than living with regrets or having to clean things up long term.
Wonderful. Self-trust. And that takes some exploration. And that's where Deidre can help you, because a lot of us are, they go, well, what does that mean? And how do I move into that space? So I love that. As self-trust, it's so important in every aspect of your life. You have a signature program that is called Turning On Your Light. I'm really interested in knowing, number one, the inspiration for the name, and number two, tell us a little bit about some of the steps in your program and how they work, because we talked about this earlier and I just loved it.
Aw, thank you. So I had this vision years ago, and how I really receive information is I'll just get this intuitive hit or a vision. And this was a vision, and it was a vision of me looking down on the world and just turning lights on. And I had all of these other people around me. We're in this big circle, and we were just reaching down and turning lights on. And I was just like, yeah, we're here to wake people up so that they can see clearly, live in their truth, and be fully expressed. So I had this vision probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I stepped into this signature program about 2 years ago. I had a signature event, and then that turned into the program. And it's really about infusing the radical honesty, courage, and showing up into all areas of life. And the areas that most people struggle with, especially if you feel like you have a big mission, you have a big calling, you have a vision of where you're meant to be, but for whatever reason you haven't been able to close the gap, or you're someone who is sick of wasting time, money, and energy on things that take a long time. It doesn't have to be so hard. And I've literally brought all of my teachings, all of the learnings that I've had over the past decade into this program. And it's all about learning how to quiet the noise, because until you learn how to quiet the noise, not only in the physical world, but energetically, if you're an empath, you tend to feel a lot. You're constantly going to be leaking your energy, giving your power away, and focusing on things that aren't quite it, which is going to compromise your mission and what you're here to do. The second piece is we work on core wounds and trauma, because the truth is, until we pull those weeds out, they're going to constantly be coming up as ways of self-sabotaging, of you playing small, you shrinking yourself, not speaking your truth, and not showing up powerfully. So that's a big part of the program as well, in a proactive way, not in a therapeutic way where we talk and recycle the old things over and over. It's very much, let's go to the root, pull it out, move on, and it's really powerful. I actually just finished a call the other night, and people were crying because their breakthroughs were life-changing for them. And then beyond that is about your impact and your purpose. What does it look like? Who do you need to be that person? And then really aligning your entire life, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, and accountability to be a co-creator of your own reality, and not only turn your light on, but be out there to create a legacy and turn on the lights of the masses in your own way with your own magic. So that's the program itself.
Yes, I love it. Turn on the lights, because we'll turn on others to follow suit.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and therein lies the energy and the brightness and what lies ahead. I love it. It lights the way for others. That's sort of where my mantra goes, lighting the way for others to follow in your footsteps. So you have something that you mentioned in your bio, and it talks about ancient wisdom technology certification. I am really curious about this. So I had to ask you, because I put it in the questions, as I said, okay, I really want to know what this is. This sounds fascinating. So just touch on it a little bit for our audience.
Absolutely. So I have a certification program that's for transformational leaders and coaches. And what it does is this ancient wisdom technology. It's different processes that you can take your clients through, whether you're working one-on-one with them in a coaching scenario, or if you're running courses, speaking on stage, whatever, and you really want them to integrate and embody the change and the knowledge that you're sharing with them. And so this ancient wisdom technology, it helps you collapse timelines for people. So as we're going about our life, there's specific obstacles that we've created within ourselves, certain rules that we've created, that when I do this, then I can have that. When I achieve this, then I can have this. So essentially what this technology does is it helps your clients collapse the timeline between where they are now and where they want to be, so that they can get accelerated results, rather than bumping up against all of these rules that they've made for themselves, whether they're, conscious or unconscious with them, so that they can get accelerated results. So ancient wisdom, this has to do with psychology. It also has to do with universal laws, nature. It's all blended into this technology to really get people powerful results. And some of this work is being compared to a decade of therapy in one session. So that's the power of it. And these are testimonials that I've got from clients who have done other modalities for a decade, 2 decades, or 3 decades. So the ancient wisdom technology is the pathway, and it really cuts through the mind, because the mind is always going, and you need to bypass the mind if you want permanent instant change.
Sounds fascinating. Sign me up. I'm curious, how long does it take to become certified?
It's a 12-week program, and the next time we're running it is this fall. I believe we start in October.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we'll be sure to remind individuals of that, and I'm sure it'll be on your information as well. So tell our audience about your offer.
Absolutely, as in like the freebie that I'm giving today. Yes, awesome.
Yes.
So I have 2 things that I'm really excited to give to your audience today. Number one is I had this really powerful goal attainment accelerator, and essentially, as I mentioned earlier, one of the main things that's going to get in your way of achieving your goals at an accelerated rate is not actually taking the time to look at what might actually get in the way. So I have a video series where I take you through a radically aligned assessment that I use with my one-on-one clients. It's helped many of my clients, one of my clients specifically, achieve his 8-year goals in as little as 10 months because he actually looked at it, and he's already a high performer. So you're going to get that assessment. You're also going to get a video series with me where I talk about what can get in your way. And then also on top of that, I'm going to be throwing in an illumination session. I don't do this very often because I only have so much time, but I've inserted a certain amount of time window for anyone in the community to sign up and get 45 minutes with me, where I can actually walk through exactly what is in the way of you reaching your next level. Because oftentimes as entrepreneurs and humans, we think one thing is the problem, and so we'll work on moving through that problem, but the problem's actually something else. So this is really powerful because you could waste a lot of time, money, and energy trying to resolve a problem that isn't actually the root cause, the real problem that's causing the results or not causing the results that you want.
Oh my gosh, that is so generous. I am blown away, Deidre. Oh my gosh. We've got to put out a special call for all of these incredible offers, and that is beyond generous. Oh my, thank you so much. I'm going to have to get on the community's butt and get them all in there. So
yeah, it's pretty incredible.
They all become illuminated. Yeah. It sounds it. It sounds it. So any last words for our audience that you would like to share?
Yeah, when I feel into this, there's a quote that I really love, and the quote is, "The question isn't whether or not you're here to do great things. The question is, are you ready to wake up to the truth of who you are and who you're meant to be?" And so what's needed in order to be the person that you're here to be? Well, taking action and listening to those intuitive nudges. So if you're having an intuitive nudge towards me, or what I'm offering, the gift, or any of the other speakers, listen to that. Every single time I've done that in my life, I've had magic that follows. I've had so much synchronicity. Every time I haven't, I've kicked myself. So please listen to your intuitive nudges. Say yes. If you're drawn to someone, sign up for their freebie and work with them, because they are here to show you your greatest gifts and make the path easy for you. It doesn't have to be so hard.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Perfect. Well, because we're here on the Epic Vision Zone, I have one last question, and that is, if your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
Wow. It would be called This Is It.
This is it?
This is it. This is it.
I love it.
This is it. This is your life. This is your business. You get to make your own rules, and whatever you're choosing in the here and now, you are making it. And so if you don't like it, you have the power to change it. So this is it. This moment right here is it, and whatever you create it to be is it.
That is a fabulous title, Deidre. Oh my gosh. You know why? Because it sparks curiosity for me. I'm like, well, what is it? You know, this is it. This is all we have right here, right now.
Yeah.
This is it. That has so many meanings. Again, another fabulous metaphor. I mean, unpack it any way you want. You could go anywhere with that. I love it.
Yes.
Love it. Love it. Well, I encourage all and everybody to go and check out Deidre's social media, her website, and her free offer, and you will find all of that information in the Summit directory under her name, Deidre, and Radically Aligned. And also, I wanted to thank you once again, Deidre, for being here. And she is a fabulous guest, and we've had some fabulous insights here. So do not hesitate, if she resonates with you, to connect with her. And I wanted to say, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath, and check out how you can become an epic entrepreneur at janeapplegath.com. This is the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success. Congratulations for signing up for the Female Entrepreneur Revolution. We're bringing you some of the most exciting female entrepreneurs from around the globe to share with you their knowledge, their ideas, their inspiration, and more importantly, their resources to elevate you to prosperity and freedom. And by being here, you're on the cusp of something great, your epic future. I'm Jane Applegath, founder of the Epic Vision Zone and producer of the Female Entrepreneur Revolution. Be sure to get your VIP pass and join me after the summit on June 16th for a very special VIP coaching session where we'll have hot seating, summit Q&A, and a special guest appearance by one of our speakers just for you, where we'll ignite your vision, up-level your confidence, and set you on the path to your dreams' epic success. This is your opportunity calling. It's time to take action. Get your VIP pass now. I can't wait to see you on the other side.